But it's good to practice answers, so then when they ask you about your family, you know what to say. Okay? So just two things. The first thing is of your answers. So it's good to include not a really long answer, but an answer with some detail. So for example, one of our questions is so you could say, for example, a short answer would be, I live in a house. But if we want to add some more length, you could say, I live in a white house. There are 5 rooms. So always think about how you can add some more detail. It doesn't have to be really, really, really long, but the more detail you add, the better. The other little bit is your accuracy. Now, I'll explain what that means. Accuracy. So, your accuracy is about if what you say makes sense. Okay, so sometimes when you write, it's easy to just write what you think, but in English, it maybe doesn't make sense. So just be careful with your accuracy. So does it make sense? Can I understand as an English speaker what you are saying? And when you write something that's a little bit longer, then this is a little bit more difficult because you have more things to think about. So the two important things is try to make your answers a little bit longer in the speaking and make sure that they are accurate. Now, when we were doing the writing, we said for this, it's good to use sometimes short sentences. So remember your full stop. Or you can also use does anyone remember this one?
Comma.
The comma, good. The comma, and that means that you have a little break in your sentence. Okay? Yeah. Anyone else? Need a pen? Alright. Okay.
Hindi ko kikita nito.
Good. There is on your phone app is like an application. So for example, an app might be Facebook. Facebook is an app. And you might be able to see it, but there's an app that will help you prepare for your test. Your test have made an app, so I can click into it.
What app, sir?
And I will write down the name. It is, I'll put it up here, ielts. Prep. So even if you want to take a note of that.
Preparation.
So let's see, I'll go on to here.
Lumat nga yan. Grabe naman, hindi pa matay kumita 50 pounds pa.
So it's the app is free. You don't have to pay. Now you will need internet to use it, okay? But on the app, It's hard to show you because my phone's quite small,
What's
but
better, no internet?
Yeah.
Offline app.
they don't have an offline app,
Ah,
Pedro, I
okay.
don't think. But they have different, so there's a little section that tells you how to use it, and then you have practice tests, but you also have some grammar
Yeah.
to practice. So, for example, let's see. And you also have vocabulary, so different words. So, for example, you have here, I'll go on level 1. So you have different, there's an example of an exercise where you have to choose what each word means.
In Google's.
Sorry?
On YouTube.
Apps.
So
IELTS
it's just
apps.
on the app,
Okay.
so it's all in one place. So that's just a good way, because I know sometimes, well, ideally you would be able to use it without internet, because then you could use it anywhere.
Yes.
But sometimes it's easier, rather than having a book and a pen, just to have your phone, and you can practice by using that app. Okay? So that's the app. Good. Now we're going to think a little bit about, well, we're going to finish looking at task 1, which we've been practicing, and then we will continue with task 2. If you remember, task 2 is a little bit different. We were thinking last week about something that is precious to you, something that is important to you, and we thought about a watch, a car, things like that. So we'll practice that in a moment, but I just want to explain this.
Turn up your Wi-Fi.
Okay. So one of the important things when we do speaking is knowing how to answer the question. And I know that sounds obvious, but I'm going to explain. So for example, one of the questions we have is, are you studying? Okay, now when someone asks you a question, you always have to start with something. So for this one you can say yes, just for example. Now what do we always have to start with? If you remember, we always have to start by saying who is speaking. Who is speaking? So are you studying? Yes. I. You always have to start with I, okay? So every time you speak in English, and you will notice that you do this really without thinking. I am fishing today. I am at the shop. It's always I, because you're talking about you. So I. Now how would we continue this? What's the activity that we're doing? Are you studying? So we have the I, so we don't need this anymore. Now remember, we have to change some of these. So maybe you know it without looking. So are you studying? Yes, I. Does anyone know?
I am still.
I heard it, yes. So yes, I am
Still
studying.
studying.
Okay, so remember, when you answer a question, you have to change it a little bit. Now this one is a little bit more difficult because we're thinking about what you're doing right now. Remember 2 weeks ago we looked at the difference between I study and I am studying. So this one is asking, really, are you studying now? You say, yes, I am studying. So that's how you respond to that one. So you need both this little bit, and you have to change that. Because you're not talking about you, you're talking about I. So that's why it's I am studying. Okay? That's one of the harder ones. Now, another question that we have seen, do you like animals? Animals. So
Yes,
we'll start
I-
again, yes. What do we need to start with? I, good. And then what's
I like.
yes, good.
I like.
So this time we're not talking about studying, but we're talking about liking. So I like. I like animals. Perfect. Okay. That one's a little bit more straightforward. Now this one is more difficult. Did you Okay, so the next one. Now, this one is more difficult. Did you have an animal when you were a child? Now, before we start, are we talking about the present or the past? Past? Renato thinks present. Past. Okay, how do we know it's the past? Good. So when you see did, alarm bells should be going in your head and you should be thinking, well, I'm talking about the past, so I need to use the past tense. Now, did you have an animal when you were a child? Again, just because of the question, we'll start with yes. Now, we always start with what?
I.
Good. I. That's who's speaking. Now, this is where it gets a little bit more difficult. Because here we have, did you have? Now, how do we say that in English? I had. Good. Had. Now, I had. So, have is present. So did tells us it's past, but after did you have, so we need to change this. Had. Now, an animal when you were a child. So yes, I had an animal. Then we have to continue. When. Think about who is speaking. Yes, I had an animal when I. Good. So it has to be I. You wouldn't say I had an animal when you were a child. Doesn't really make sense. I had an animal when I. Now, you were is the past, so you were fishing yesterday. I. This changes when it's I.
I was a child.
When I was. Good. I was. So that's important to remember. If you, so that should say an animal up here. Animal. That's important to remember. So when you have a sentence and you start in the past, yes, I had an animal, you have to keep it in the past. So be careful that you don't say, yes, I had an animal when I am a child. Because you start it in the past, I had. If you said there, when I am, Well, then you're talking about the present.
Was.
So it should be was. Was is the correct answer. Good. Okay. So there's just two more, and then we'll move on to task 2. Two more. Okay. So we'll keep with yes.
Magawa. Lagyan ako ng 10 pounds lang. Lubad nga. Extension mo. Mahaba yan. Tingin na.
Okay, now this one I haven't spoken to you about before, but you have seen it in your questions. So this question says, would you like to have a pet in the future?
Yes.
Now, you will have noticed that this is a little bit different here. Would. Okay, so in English we use would when we're describing a wish or a desire. So, for example, I would like to have a really big house. That's my wish. I would like. It doesn't mean that I do, but it's something that you want to happen. So, I would like to go on holidays tomorrow, but that's just a wish. It's probably not going to happen.
In the future.
So, again, would you like to have a pet in the future? We'll just answer
Yes.
yes. Now,
Yes.
who are we talking about?
Yes, I want.
Good.
I will. Want. I want.
Now, what do we do?
Yes, I will.
Wood.
Yes.
So we already have this in the sentence because we're talking about I.
Yes.
Now,
Yes, I like.
what's the next part? Would you like to have a pet in the future? Yes, I.
I have. Yes, I want.
So I want.
I will.
You could get away with I want.
It.
Uh, So you could, Vincent. But in this case, we're going to use what's in the sentence or in the question. So what
Yes,
words
like,
from the
like,
question?
Future. Yes, I like.
So after I, we always have to use what we call in English a verb. Now a verb is something that you do. So I speak, I play, I fish. Those are all verbs. Something that you do. That's just a fancy term. So when we have I, we always have to have a verb. So something that you do. Now in this case, the verb is a little bit more difficult. So the verb isn't in the future because that's talking about time. It's not a pet because that's a thing. It's at the start. So
Future.
what we're looking for is I would like.
Yes, I would like.
Okay. I would like. Would like. And after would like, you nearly always put
To have.
to, and then in this case, have. Okay, so if we think about the first one we looked at, are you studying? We started with I, and then we had to use am studying. So just like that one, you need the two parts. I would like. Now, Vincent, you said I want. You could say I want. I want would be a little bit more direct. Like, I want something now. I would like is a little bit more polite, formal. So yes, I would like. So would you like to have a pet in the future? Yes, I would like to have one.
Cannot use I like. Direct no would.
I like you.
Would you like to have
I like to have.
No,
No.
no. So you need to have I would like to have because you're talking about a wish.
Yeah.
Anytime it's a wish. So I would like to win the lottery.
Yes.
Okay? Everyone would like to win the lottery.
Yeah.
It's always a wish.
Yes, sir.
So if you said I like no, you need when it's a wish, it's always I would like. Okay? Good. Now last one and then over to you.
Grabe yung mga wish na yan.
Magkapatid talaga. Pagkakot ko yung dalawang inch.
Cheap na singgir. Hindi ko man nag-invite.
Hindi ka man nag-iyan.
Have you been?
Bawal naman kayo pumunta sa barko namin. Bawal.
Hindi na kayo allowed.
Bakit bawalan nyo kami?
May protocol ng pinapaanong batas.
Okay, so this is the last one that we'll look at. How long have you lived in Kilkeel for? Now, when you see how long, what do you think of? How long? What's that talking about?
Like how many years?
How many years? Good. So how long is all about time.
Time.
So how long is left?
Yes.
How long have we been here? It's all about time. So once you see how long, you're thinking about time. Have you lived in Kilkeel? So here we don't start with yes,
No.
because it's asking how long. But we do start with what? How long have you lived in Kilkeel? I. Good. Now,
I have
good. I have.
been.
And then what do we have to say?
I have been.
I
So
have
use the
lived.
question to help you.
Yeah.
So we have the I, that replaces that. I have lived, good. And then in Kilkeel, what comes next?
Or
Thor. Now that's important, okay? Sometimes
5 years.
sometimes in English we say this little word here when we talk about time. Ago. Yeah, you might have seen that. So 1 week ago. Here though,
1 week ago.
when we're talking about how long, you always use for. So here you can say, I have lived in Kilkeel for. Can anyone give me time? A time?
7 years.
7 years. Good.
Pedro lived here for 7 years.
7 years, or 3 years, or 2 months.
More than sino?
How long is always time?
100
Okay.
years. Huh? 100 years.
So, I'll do a little bit of practice with this just to test you, okay? So I will ask you a question, I'll just choose one of you, okay? And what
yeah,
you have
let's
to do
begin.
is just start the question, start the answer, okay? So that one's a little bit longer. For example, if I said to Pedro, do you like animals?
Yes. I like.
Perfect. So that's all you have to say. Yes, I like, and then it will be animals. Okay?
Naramaan mong drama.
So I'm going to choose a few of you and see how we get on, okay? So if you get it wrong, that's fine. It's practice,
Yes,
okay? You learn by making mistakes. So if you get it wrong, don't worry. And it's not a test or anything. I'm not going to give you homework or detention. So do you like animals? Pedro answered right. Yes, I like. So that's one of the easier ones. So we'll go for Roland. Now this one's a little bit harder. Did you have a pet when you were a child?
Yes. I had.
Good. I had a pet.
Yeah.
when.
When I was a child.
Perfect. So there we were using the past. I had a pet when I was a child. All to do with the past. We'll do a couple more. So would anyone like from the bottom? I'll not choose you, but I'll get you to put your hand up if you want to ask. Would you like to have a pet in the future? Would you like to have a pet in the future? Now we'll start with yes.
Yes, I would.
I would like. Good. I would like to have a pet in the future. Good. We'll do it all together then. So those were a few of them. What was the other one? Oh yes. Are you working? How would you respond to that? Are you working?
Yes, I am.
Yes, good. I am working. Good. Okay, so those are just important to know. Most of the time in English, for answering a question, most of the information is in the question. So do you like? Yes, I like. Did you have? Yes, I. So those are just good little tips to have, okay? Because in the speaking test, you won't have the question written down. They will just speak the question. So it's good to know how you're going to answer each of them. All right. So
Sabi tayo muna.
I'll give you like this. So I will. Wrong.
Oh, chiki, may chiki. Chiki. Yung 20.
Haba na pang wala. Haba na pang wala. Haba na bukas ba? Hirap-hirap to.
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Yeah, baru yung
Oh yes, no problem.
No
problem. Okay, so what we have here, men, are some more questions that I found off a website. So these questions were asked before in a test. So I'll just read down through them, and actually I'll get you to read them out just to practice your pronunciation. So the first one is all about friends. Friends. Okay, so Vincent, can you read the first question for me, please?
Are your friends?
Weekend. So you would say yes. Well, you would say I weekend. So you would say yes. Well, you'd say I usually see my friends on the weekend. Something like that. Good. Can you do the next one, please?
This time you told your friend, what did you do to get it?
The last time. Now we're talking about the past there. So, brilliant. Friends, next one please.
In what ways are your friends important?
Ways are your friends important to you? That question is a little bit more open. So you could say, my friends are important because they help me when I need help. They listen to me. They're kind.
They help me.
Good. So that's all about friends. Now the next one is food and cooking. So we'll look at these questions. So Kim, can you read the first one, please?
What kind of food do you like to eat?
Good. So that's quite a good one. That's a good question. What kind of food do you like to eat? Next one, please, Chris.
What kind of new foods would you like to try?
Good. So there we have the would you like. Do you see that there? What kind of new food would you like to try? That's because it's talking about something that you have a wish to try. So I would like to try sushi,
Sushi.
but I can't get sushi really here. I would need to go to Japan, ideally. So that's a wish. I would like to try sushi. Brilliant. LG?
Do you like cooking? Why not?
Yep, so do you like cooking?
Cooking?
If you say no, they might say why not.
No.
Yes, they will say why. So that's another reason why we need to add some detail. And then the last one, please, Roll.
What was the last meal you cooked?
Good. So there we have past again. What was the last meal you
Pig
cooked?
heads.
So you could say I cooked, or the last meal I cooked was whatever it was. So those are just for you to keep. We'll not look at any more of those today. So we'll move on now to task 2. Alright. Good. Plenty of time. So we started last week part 2 of the test, okay? So if you remember, the question was describe something you own which is very important to you. Now, we started really by choosing something. So you made a choice, you decided what you're going to talk about. So some decided on a watch, some jewellery, a ring, a car, anything like that. Okay, so I'm just gonna speak to you a little bit about how to do this part of the test well. Okay, so you can write this down in your books if you'd like. So the first thing I would do if I was doing this question is I would do an opening sentence on what is No, I'm wrong. 1 second, sorry. Sorry. I'm gonna change that because if I say what is important to you, that's just for this question. So I'll just say on the topic, because then it can be anything. On the topic. Now I'll let you write that down and then I'll explain. What we need. So what I mean by that is when you start the test, I would, for this one, for example, it says describe something you own which is very important to you. So this part is a little bit different because you're going to be speaking on your own. The man or woman doing the test isn't going to be asking you questions yet. You have to speak for 1 to 2 minutes just by yourself. So I would start by doing an opening sentence. Now what I mean by that is, for this question, for example, you would say, something that I own which is very important to me is my watch. Full stop, well, stop for a break there. So rather than saying at the very start, I got my watch as a present, just tell the person doing the test what the topic is, so what you have chosen in this case, okay? So that just gives a little summary of what you're going to be talking about. Good. The next one is in bullet points, if you remember, are if that's your page, you do points like that. Short points. Does anyone remember how long do you have to plan your answer in this part? Less. It's quite short. You only have 1 minute. 1 minute to plan. So you're going to have to plan in bullet points, short pieces of text that will help you speak. Because if you start writing out your answer, you will only get maybe 2 or 3 lines, and then that will be time up. Now, what they recommend doing is, if you have the 4 little topics here, so if you remember, they tell you what to speak about. They said here where you got it from, how long you have had it, what you use it for, why it is important to you. So there are 4 things. Now, what you can do is you can put, for example, where did you get it, how long have you had it, its use, and its importance. So that's just me putting that in a shorter form. Now, what they said to do, which is helpful, is maybe when you're planning, do 4 columns. Something like that. Just an importance. And then, for example, for where you got it from, you can maybe say something like, it was a present, it was my birthday. But you're going to have to do quite short notes. And you do that for each of those. So plan and bullet points is important. Now, when you're speaking, you're going to be, well, yeah, like this one. Four. So that says speak for around 30 seconds per point. So, for example, try to aim for about 30 seconds here, 30 seconds here, 30 seconds here, and 30 seconds here. Now, what you'll notice is some of the points you will not have as much to say. So, for example, here, how long have you had it? It's hard to go past, I have had it for 5 years. So you need to think about how you will make it a little bit longer. But for example, if you maybe here go for 40 seconds, and here 20 seconds, that's fine. But just roughly 30 seconds per point. That's just a good way of gauging how long you're speaking for. Another really important point is when you're planning, make sure that you don't say something here that you will be saying in the next part. So maybe you say, I got my watch as a present on my birthday 5 years ago. Because then you've already talked about how long you've had it. So just be careful with that as well. Make sure that you plan each. And then when you have it planned, you will have the sheet with your plan in front of you. So that will help you to know what you're saying when you're saying it. Oh, not to repeat. This task will be a little bit stranger because you will be speaking for between 1 and 2 minutes, and you will just be speaking yourself. No one else will be speaking, just you. So when you start, you might feel a little bit self-conscious that, oh, maybe this doesn't sound good, but just keep going, okay? Nervous. Maybe you feel a little bit shy because you prefer someone asking you a question.
Safety.
But if you have it planned well, and you have different things that you want to say, you'll be fine. Alright, now what I'm going to let you do now is, in your books, if you want to start planning the different bullet points, the different things that they want you to talk about. So try to think, maybe draw out, I'll rub this out and write it up properly. So what I would do in your book is, all of them like this. Then we have where. So that where means where you got it from. How long? How long have you had it? Its use, so what you use it for. It's so those are just the different points that you have at the moment. So So what I would do now is try to do a plan of what you would say, or you might not get all of them done, but you can start here. And remember, you're not going to be writing in full sentences. You're just going to be doing bullet points. So where you got it, you can maybe say, I got it in the Philippines. I got it on my birthday. You will have to do a little bit of thinking to see how you can add detail. So perfect, yeah, you could say that as well, Leslie. So Christmas present. Things like that. So there's no right or wrong answer. It will depend on what you've chosen. So it's something very important to something very important to you. If you need any help, I will come around and help you.
Na, hindi nakatagay na antok na. Pwede na wala mani-mani. Tapos ba maging mabasa kung buwan naman yung lalo. Easy. Susulat. Mo,
Pita ako dali. Isang mo, isang.
susumpong pala.
Oo.
Nangyari yan.
Nakita yan.
Mawa pa. Ako niyan.
So I'm doing it as well. So trying to think about what I would say. So I said for my one, for example, it's a watch that I have. I got it on my birthday. It was the last present I opened. It was from my mom and dad. They got it online because there are no shops with it. So you'll have to think about how you will add detail. For example, I could very easily say, I got it for my birthday and stop. That will be very, very, very short. So you can describe it was the last present I opened. So normally you save the best for last. That's the saying in English. Save the best for last. Got it from my mum and dad. They got it online. So keep working on that because we're going to practice in a moment with the timer. And we're all going to speak at the same time, so no one's going to be listening to you. And we'll speak what we will say for our own answer, and we'll see how long we can speak for, just to see how long 30 seconds is. Now, if you think that this one is a little bit too difficult, that you don't have a lot to say, you can choose any one. So maybe you have more to say for why it's important to you, or what you use it for. So you can choose one. Doesn't have to be this one. just remember as well, this band, this won't be seen by the man doing the test. He won't be marking that. So don't worry if maybe your spelling isn't perfect. As long as it makes sense to you and will help you. So see, good start already, I can see. So even if you want to draw it, you can put so you can choose. So that's just what I'm going to be speaking about, right? So what are we talking about, you know? Your so what's the you're looking at the sheet. What's the thing that's important to you? You choose it. So describe something new which is very important to you. What do you know what you're going to talk about? Is it going to be a food or a watch or choose another? Yeah. And so you say where you got it. Okay. So what's on the board is my right, that's the same for you, that's perfect. Okay, so just make your is very bad. It's only when I'm down here that I see it. It's quite hard to write on a right board. I always write like diagonally. It's just an example from me, so that's what I would speak about. So try to make it your own. Okay? So maybe you got it, as Benji said, as a Christmas present. There's no right or wrong answer, it's just whatever yours is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put on a timer and I'm going to speak. Now this is what I've chosen. So what I've chosen is my watch. So this is to do with my watch, okay? So I will try to speak for 30 seconds on this, just to give you an idea of how long you're speaking for. So just a reminder that at the first column here, you're going to be including your opening sentence. Okay? So, for example, I'm going to start by something which is very important to me is my watch.
Birthday mo nga yun eh.
Okay? So, if you listen up, I'm going to speak for 30 seconds so you know how long it is. That will do per column. Okay? Now, there is a chance that I might run out of things to say. So, we'll listen out and see. So I'm going to hold this just so I can see. Okay? Something which is very important to me is my watch. I got it as a birthday present when I was 18. It was the last present I opened. It was bought for me by my mum and dad. They got it online because the company that makes the watch doesn't have any shops. Because of that, it was shipped over from England, and I still have the box that it came in. So that was about 30 seconds. Now, at the end, I kind of ran out of things to say, so I just talked about the box it came in. So that gives you an idea. It's good to have bullet points. Now, you'll notice that I haven't written out what I was saying, but this gave me a little order to follow. So I knew I was going to talk first about birthday, second, last present open, third, I got it from my mum and dad, fourth. So you really need a good plan to make it as easy as it can be. Okay? So if you keep working on that, I'm gonna rub this out and I will come round. So again, if you have this one done, try to think about these other ones, okay? So from how long you've had it. Now how long you've had it will be harder to make long because it's quite a closed question. Use, so you can speak a lot about what you use it for and why it's important. Okay, so if you get planning on the rest of them, and then I'm going to set a timer just like I did, and I'm going to get each of you just together so no one else is listening to you to speak all at once to see how long you can speak for. Really quickly, but also you don't want to speak too slowly. Okay, so you can keep planning the other few there.
para makakita ka.
Seymour number.
Kasi macam aku bingung lagi tidak.
good. So any questions, just let me know. It's hard to try to
Dito ka naman yung babasa eh.
I'm trying to think. It's hard to make it longer.
Search
Everyday watching ielts. YouTube ielts. So, yun lang. Gamitin ko lang ang mouse. I wish.
So you could say
Ano? I wish.
4 years ago.
I wish.
And
No?
I was really happy with it. Like, describe how you felt. That's the only thing I can do.
Ginawa nga.
So it's quite difficult to add detail, especially to this one, how long you've had it.
Yeah,
If you try to think, the only thing I can think of is how long have you had it? I have had it for 5 years, and I was really happy when I got it. If you speak a little bit about maybe your feelings when you got it. So I have had it for 4 years. When I first got my car or my watch, I was really happy because I really wanted it. That's the only thing I can think of that would make that a little bit longer. What you might find, and you probably will find, is you will maybe speak longer here and here, and maybe here, and this one might be a little bit shorter. That's okay, as long as these have lots of detail. Because what you don't want to happen is you finish with maybe a minute left, and you've said everything that you can say. So you always want to have nearly too much to say, rather than too little. So I would maybe add feelings. Any questions, just feel free to let me know and I can come and see if I can help you. Another thing to remember is what you say doesn't have to be 100% true. So, for example, when I was talking there about my watch, I don't really remember when I got it, to be honest. My memory is quite bad, and if your memory is bad, you can say things that maybe you don't know for certain, but which will help you talk about something here. So, for example, if I'm talking about my watch, I said I got it for my 18th birthday when I turned 18. I don't know when, if I got it then or before or after, but if you just say it, the man or woman doing the test, they won't know. So don't be afraid to say things if you want to add detail that isn't true, that isn't actually fact. That's okay. Okay, so we'll give you about 5 more minutes, and then what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can all speak for 1 minute using the notes that you have. Okay, so I'm going to set a timer, and we're all going to speak together. So no one, you're really only going to understand what you're saying. And we can speak for. The bullet points some of you I know have, if you want to write down the opening sentence, just so that you have something to start with. So something that is very important to me is my phone, my watch. Your opening, what you will start with. Something that is very important to me is my, okay? So we'll give it a go. Okay, so for this to work, you're all going to be speaking at the same time. Okay, when I say go, you're going to start speaking. Okay, so don't worry, no one's going to be listening to you. They're going to be focusing on what they're saying, and I'll do it as well. Okay, but if I say go and no one speaks, then it won't work. Okay, so I need you to speak. Okay, so does that all make sense what we're doing? So I'm going to set a timer on my phone for 1 minute, and we're going to try to speak about this topic for 1 minute, and you're going to start here. So you're going to say something that is very important to me is my sunglasses or watch or phone or car, and then you're going to say where you got it, how long you've had it for, what you use it for, and why it is important. Okay, so I'm going to start and I'm going to say go. Does everyone have their plan in front of them to help you? So we're all going to speak at the one time. Okay? And then if you've finished what you're saying, that's fine, you can just stop. But we'll try to aim for around a minute. A minute would be very good for our start. Okay? So I'll say go and then we'll start, and we're all going to start like this. Now we're not going to be saying it at the same time. We're not a choir. But we're going to say it just individually. So ready, set, go. Something that is very important to me is my watch. I got it when I was 18 from my mom and dad. It was a birthday present, and they bought it online because the watch that made it didn't have any shops in the country. I had it for 4 years, and I was really happy when I saw it. I use it for different things, such as telling the time, and it is important to me because my mum and dad bought it. Okay, so that was about 35 seconds, and that was going off. I think Roland, you spoke for the longest.
Yeah.
So Roland spoke for about 35 seconds. So you will notice that 2 minutes is quite a long time when you're speaking on your own. So it's really important that you have lots and lots of points to say in your plan. Okay? Now, you will get better the more we practice at the speaking. Because maybe you have lots of points here, but then you don't know how to say it properly in English. But it's important to start planning with the bullet points, and then we can fill around it. That was around 35 seconds. It's shorter than that, but that's okay. So, I think there is, if you remember, another task in the speaking, task 3. So if you remember, this is task 2. Task 3, I think we won't do just yet, okay? Because what task 3 is they're going to be asking you questions about your watch or your phone. So it will be back to question and answer, which is maybe a little bit more normal. But the questions that they will ask will be a little bit more difficult than the first questions. So it won't be asking you about your family or your friends, but we'll be asking you about your object that is important to you. Okay, so does anyone have any questions? What you can do now for the last couple of minutes is you can add in anything you think you've missed here that you could have said. So it's only really when you start speaking that you realize I could have said this, I could have said that. So if you have anything that you haven't mentioned, if you want to note it down. Okay? Now, remember, just as I said at the start, there is the app under that name. Now, do you have internet when you're in the harbour? Yes, you have internet in the harbour. You don't have internet when you're on the boat. Oh, do you?
Yeah.
You still Wi-Fi on the boat?
Yeah.
In the sea?
Yes.
Okay, well then that will work for you, that app. Now, it looks, I'll come around and show you what it looks like individually. So it's just that red one. If you type it in to the App Store, you should all be able to get it. It just looks like that. Okay. Yep, good man. That's what it looks like. So it's the red one there. That's just helpful to help you practice. That one there, yeah. Is that one there? Okay. That one there. Okay, so that's good because sometimes you're on the boat and you're on your phone but you don't have a pen and paper, so you can practice using the app. And also just a note again about the coffee morning. So if you would like, you can go up to that. You'd be very welcome, and you can get tea and coffee, and there's lots of really nice buns and scones.
It's free, isn't it?
Free, yes, free,
We're charged.
free. So any people who go from Kilkeel normally donate because it's for the Fisherman's Mission. So if you do give any money, it goes towards the Fisherman's Mission. That's where it's going to. Okay? And do you all know where Mourne is? Mourne Church Hall? Yes. So that's my church, that's the church I go to. So the church hall is just beside the big church. It's the biggest church at the roundabout. Okay, so I wonder if I can get a photo of it.
Di ba sa square po yun?
Pero dayo naman.
Iba yun? More
Iba yun. Iba sa mayan.
Kalau sa Pilmuri.
That's it there.
Ah.
That one. You open that one. So it's just, the church hall is just beside that church to the right. And there will be a sign open. There'll be a sign there to say, and the doors will be open. Okay? So, I will see you all next week, okay? So, keep, as much as you can, keep practicing. If you ever do any more of these papers, if you have some time, I will mark them and see how you get on. Okay, so the way you will get better is to practice. So keep practicing every day as much as you can. Whether that means speaking to each other in English, or reading English, or listening to English, or you can practice writing, and you can use that app to help you. It's good for grammar, so even how to answer questions, vocabulary, all of that. So that will help you. And thanks again for coming early today. Yes, you can keep that. Next week it should be just at the normal time at 10. So you will get a lion. Do you know a lion?
What's the lion?
A lion.
Lion Bang.
So
Lion.
I will write it down for you.
Hindi naman yung
A
charge.
lion. Have you heard of a lion?
Lion.
A lion is when maybe you've been working all week and you have a day off, and instead of getting up at 6